Hello and welcome to another Analysis Behind the News, where we provide the perspective that you can use to help save American liberty and independence. With Saturday, November 4th coming this weekend, along with the expected planned protests of the forces that make up Antifa, we have to ask, who is Antifa? The main website behind the planned protest is refusefascism.org, which claims they are not Antifa, but they do defend them from whom they call fascists and racists supporting the Trump regime. The Revolutionary Communist Party, also known as RevCom, is also promoting and helping to organize the protests. As William Jasper, senior editor of the New American Magazine, has written in the Promoting Antifa Mayhem issue, there is much that we do not know about Antifa for the simple reason that they operate in secrecy and concealment. The movement has both above-ground and underground elements. The above-ground activists will engage in public demonstrations with their faces uncovered, and some will publicly identify with Antifa and even give interviews. The most notorious aspect of Antifa, apart from its violence, is its black bloc side. The underground members who dress in black, cover their faces, and carry out collective direct action, often criminal activities, as coordinated units. He continues, "It should be no secret that Antifa actions, not only in the United States, but also in Canada, Europe, and elsewhere, are completely intertwined with the well-known, long-standing communist parties and organizations. In the United States, Antifa groups are closely allied with notorious communist organizations such as the Revolutionary Communist Party, the Workers' World Party, the Communist Party USA, By Any Means Necessary, Anti-Racist Action, and of course refusefascism.org, and the Socialist Workers' Party, all of which have been engaged in violent and revolutionary activities for decades, and which have long sordid histories of exploiting class, ethnic, racial, and sexual distinctions to foment discord and social turmoil." So as we unmask Antifa, are you beginning to see that their so-called nonviolent protest will be anything but? Mr. Jasper continues by exposing those who legally help Antifa. Whenever and wherever Antifa mobs engage in criminal activity, they know they can rely on lawyers from the National Lawyers Guild to defend them when they are arrested. The Guild has actually said this on a press release on its own website. And the New American has documented that some of those arrested at these Antifa riots are progressive activists in organizations that are funded by George Soros foundations. In fact, refusefascism.org gets funding from Alliance for Global Justice, of which is funded by Soros through the Tides Foundation. In September, Politico reported that the FBI and Homeland Security have been warning state and local officials since early 2016 that leftist extremists, known as Antifa, had become increasingly confrontational and dangerous, so much so that Antifa's actions were officially classified as domestic terrorist violence. So, it should come as no surprise that today, an excerpt of Edward Klein's new book, All Out War, The Plot to Destroy Trump, claims that an FBI report exposes overwhelming evidence that there are growing ties between ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Antifa groups. Mr. Klein, who is the former foreign editor for Newsweek and the former editor-in-chief of the New York Times Magazine, wrote in a Daily Mail online article that a group of anarchists from Oakland, California, met in Hamburg, Germany during last year's G20 summit that the FBI infiltrated. Mr. Klein wrote that FBI informants claim that an Al-Qaeda leader is helping the Oakland group acquire the weapons they are seeking, primarily bomb-making equipment and toxic chemicals and gases. He writes in here, "One of the men from Oakland traveled to Syria to meet with ISIS. The purpose was for training and tactics, but was thought to be primarily a bonding visit to discuss possible massive disruptive attacks in the U.S. While in Hamburg, several of the Oakland-based criminals were photographed throwing Molotov cocktails and wielding iron bars. The FBI report stated that this is the greatest challenge to law enforcement since the Weather Underground and the Black Panther Party. As we have previously documented, communists are the driving force behind radical Islam and is but one of the groups that are driving an anti-American agenda to build up a one-world government. So who is Antifa? A continued outgrowing of organized anarchists and communists set on destroying America. But their agenda is hardly new. To give you an idea of the extent of this agenda, we recommend reading The Shadows of Power, The Council on Foreign Relations and the American Decline, which we first published back in 1988. This is now available on Kindle, so we'll provide a link to it in the description. So stay safe by staying away from these protests, which have all the look of becoming full-scale riots fueled by anarcho-communists. Until next time, we'll see you then.